Welcome to Dear Therapist. I'm Janice Holland, a therapist, teacher, and the creator of the Courageous Living Framework. My goal is to help you see yourself in other people's stories so you can step out of performative living where people pleasing and self abandonment thrive and into courageous living where your voice leads, your choices align with your values, and your life finally belongs to you.
Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Dear Therapist. I'm so excited to come to you today. I've got a great submission that I really want to talk through with you. I think this is something that many women struggle with and can relate to. Dear Therapist, I don't know what I'm doing wrong anymore. I've tried everything to make my husband happy. I've communicated, I've given space, I've been supportive, I've tried not to nag, I've tried to be more understanding. I've worked on myself by going to therapy and reading books. I feel like I'm constantly adjusting, but nothing ever seems to be enough. He says he feels criticized or misunderstood even when I'm trying to be calm. If I bring something up, it turns into an argument or he shuts down. If I don't say anything, I feel resentful and disconnected. I'm walking on eggshells trying to keep things peaceful, but I still feel like I'm failing. Sometimes I wonder if I'm just too sensitive or asking for too much. Other times I feel so lonely in my marriage that it hurts. I don't want to give up. I don't want to overreact. I just want to understand what I'm missing so I can fix it. I keep thinking that if I could just say the right thing or be a better version of myself, things would finally change. But I'm exhausted and I don't know what else to try. What am I doing wrong? See, I feel like this is just something that so many women can relate to. So I was so grateful when the submission came in because I feel like talking through this is going to give you some clarity on what's actually happening and it's going to give you some really good next steps on what to do so that you can begin to feel like yourself again and not feel like you're going crazy or overworking, overcompensating for how you feel in your marriage. I can only imagine how frustrating it must be or how frustrating it has been to feel like you're doing all the things. Like you are leaning in, you are working hard. And just based on the things that you described, I imagine you are a woman who gets shit done. Like you have a task list. You are so used to working hard and getting things done, taking care of a lot of things. You can juggle multiple balls at the same time and accomplish all of them. You're somebody that people rely on. You're very consistent and reliable. And so it's really frustrating when you are applying all of those strengths, all those skills and that strategy into your marriage and it's not working. You feel like you are, like you said, you're doing all the things. Like you're in therapy yourself. You're working on what you might need to change. You're approaching, connecting with your husband, connecting with him in soft, approachable ways and ways you try to let go of the things you can let go of. Like you feel like you've taken every single angle and it's just not working. But in every other area of your life, the strategies that you're using tend to be really effective and they work. So I just want to start with that and let you know that no, you're not crazy. There is a very specific reason why the strategies that you apply in your other areas of your life and that you have developed and you're quite good at are effective there, but they're not effective in your relationship. So there's really nothing worse than to be working so hard, to be leaning in, to be applying strategies, to be focused and fixated on something getting fixed and it not working. Like there's really nothing, it's just this really helpless feeling, right? So what many humans try to do is we don't like the feeling of helplessness. We don't like the feeling of hopelessness. And so in order to avoid those feelings, we move into action. We move into our heads. We move into doing energy. We move into productivity to try and compensate for the feeling of frustration, of hopelessness, and the big word, the big D word, disappointment. You're disappointed. You're disappointed that you don't feel like you have a healthy partnership. You're disappointed that your husband doesn't see you the way you want to be seen. You're disappointed that he isn't honoring and acknowledging the hard work that you are putting in and that he isn't recognizing and isn't willing to put in the same level of hard work. All right, so maybe that's not a conscious reality yet, but based on everything you just described, it will be impossible for you to not feel disappointed. I want you to get out of the doing part of your brain. Let's just get into what is, into the beingness. So I'm not going to suggest that you do anything right now, but what I am going to suggest is that the first place you start is to let yourself feel what you are already feeling, to acknowledge the feelings that are there. We're not going into a strategy. We're not going into action. We're going into feeling. I feel disappointed. That is such a painful reality. It's so many of us will avoid feeling disappointment just because it does tap into some of that hopelessness, some of that helplessness, and we don't know what to do with it. So we'd rather stay in the action and stay busy, but it's actually perpetuating the problem. So you refusing to acknowledge your disappointment and feel your disappointment is perpetuating this state that you're in where you feel so frustrated, and it keeps your stress response, it keeps your nervous system activated in survival mode. Right? So when our stress response is in survival mode, we're not designed to be chronically in that state. So that's when other things start to show up: autoimmune issues, chronic headaches, depression, anxiety. There's all kinds of things that come out of having a chronic activated stress response. So one of the number one things you're doing when you acknowledge the disappointment, even though it's uncomfortable and it's really hard to feel, you're giving your nervous system permission to relax. I know that seems like you're doing the opposite, but actually when you don't acknowledge what's there, it freaks your nervous system out. It activates it. It goes into survival mode because there's not a congruency. There's not integrity between feelings and state of being. So we want to align feelings and state of being. That integrity, that congruence is actually what allows your nervous system to be like, oh, okay, I'm standing on solid ground right now. So when we don't acknowledge, when there's incongruence or a lack of integrity between what we're feeling and thinking, then there's destabilization, and it causes our nervous system to brace and lock into survival mode. So the number one thing I want you to do is let yourself feel what you feel. You're disappointed. You're disappointed in this stage of life. You're disappointed in how things have turned out. You're disappointed in the way your husband's responding. I don't know what all you're disappointed in. This is for you to sit down and just let yourself feel. It would be amazing if you had some really good girlfriends that you trust where you could have this conversation with them. If you don't feel like you can open up and be that vulnerable, totally okay. You can start with journaling. You could even take this to your therapist and say, hey, Janice unlocked this idea that I'm disappointed. I don't know how to feel that. And I don't know if I even agree with her. Talk through it with your therapist. Just have a safe place or safe way for you to acknowledge what you're disappointed about. And I want you to write or say, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in, and name it. What are the things that you're currently frustrated with and disappointed in? Again, I'm not asking you to take action yet. I'm just asking you to acknowledge what you feel and let yourself feel it. I know that it feels like it's going to kill you, but I promise that it won't. Actually feeling it is the number one way to get rid of this anxiety and get rid of this state that you're in right now that caused you to reach out and send me this message. Right? Feel your feelings, feel the disappointment that you feel. All right. Along with that, let's look at what are the expectations that you had that were not being met. Maybe you expected to have a partnership where your husband adored you and you don't feel adored right now. Maybe you expected to have a partnership where you had long connecting talks where you invested in him and he invested in you. And for whatever reason, that's not happening right now. Like, what are your expectations? How is that impacting you? And let yourself feel the impact of that, the disappointment that you're experiencing because it's not working out the way you expected it to work out. Then I want you to now step out of self-blame. This is going to be really challenging because women in general tend to do this. We tend to look at a situation, and I think we're conditioned to do this in a lot of ways. How can I fix this? What do I need to do? I can adjust, I can change, I can, like you said, I'm going to therapy, I'm reading books, I am softening my approach, I am pulling back a little bit. Like you're adjusting and changing and doing all these things. And the way you wrote your letter, it's like, I can't fix it. I'm still doing something wrong. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm changing everything and I'm doing something wrong, which tells me that you are stuck in a loop of self-blame. You are assuming that it's your fault that your marriage isn't what you want it to be right now, that you're not communicating the right way, that you're not pretty enough, that you're not skinny enough, that you are too naggy, or that like you are assuming. And I'm not saying you think all those things. I'm just giving examples that are common among women of how we blame ourselves, right? So you are blaming yourself that your marriage isn't where it needs to be. Are you perfect? No. Are there going to be always things that you need to adjust and think about and work on? Absolutely. That's a yes for everybody on the planet, right? Everybody who chooses to be in a relationship, we're always needing to self-reflect. But right now, it sounds like, based on what you described, that you have stepped into a space like you're overcompensating. You are not only looking at your contribution to the marriage, but you're then stepping over that line of, I'm taking full responsibility for my marriage, full responsibility for a relationship. And that is energetically just not in alignment with reality, because a relationship, let's think of like buckets. So you have a bucket that's you, he has a bucket that's him, and then there's a relationship bucket in the middle. You are responsible for filling your bucket. So taking care of yourself, getting good sleep, eating nutritious food, um, you know, getting your nails done, taking care of your skin, your hair done, meeting with your friends, finding meaning and purpose in who you are as a person. And you can do that through work. You can do that through who you are as a mom. You can do that through who you are as a wife or a woman. You can, you have dreams and visions and goals. Like, only you can fill your bucket. Other people can't do that. That's your responsibility. And the more full and alive your personal bucket is, the more full and alive you are. So your children can enjoy you, your husband can enjoy you, your friends can enjoy you, you can enjoy yourself. The more full your bucket is, the more settled and happy your nervous system can relax, because it feels supported by you. You feel seen by you, taken care of by you, and your nervous system is like, I'm in a good place. All right, so that's your bucket. His bucket is the same. It's his responsibility to fill, ensuring that he's getting sleep and nutrition and taking care of his needs and meeting with his guy friends if that's what he likes to do, or, working out or fulfilling hobbies or whatever it is he likes to do that makes him feel like he's living his life. He's fully alive. He's enjoying who he is and developing who he is. So it's each person's individual responsibility to ensure that they have a full, happy, alive sense of self. Happy is not the best word because it's hard to quantify, and I don't even think happiness is something that, like, what does that actually mean, right? But my purpose in that is you are fulfilling your own needs. You're taking care of your body, spirit, mind, soul. You are responsible. You're fully responsible for yourself. And then if you choose to be in a relationship, you choose to be in a marriage, there's a third bucket, and each person contributes to this bucket to help it be as alive as possible. So you are contributing to your marriage in all kinds of really creative and powerful ways. You are ensuring that you're emotionally available for your marriage. You are carving out room for date nights or for check-ins, or for sex, or for, you're happy to contribute financially. You're happy to contribute through acts of service, whatever it is. And he is doing the same. So it doesn't have to be like a 50-50, but it does need to be energetically equal. So like if one person is contributing more financially, the other person is contributing more in duties or in other ways. Like each, again, you kind of find a balance where energetically you both are investing in the partnership, in the marriage, in the relationship. So what happens over time if one of the people, so in your instance, you're sensing that you are contributing to the marriage bucket, but your partner, he's not contributing the same amount energetically. So you're frustrated. And so in your frustration, in your sadness, in your disappointment, and your overwhelm of that, you are like starting to overcompensate and put even more in to try and pull him back in, to try and get him to contribute. But what happens is you're overcompensating, you're putting more and more and more and more energy in. It doesn't work, right? What happens is he pulls further and further and further back. Like, that's a lot. You're being too much. You're smothering me. You're nagging, and you're finding all kinds of creative ways to make it look like that's not what you're doing. But energetically, you're leaning away because you don't want to feel the disappointment. And I'm sure you're thinking, well, if I stop, then I'm really scared of what will happen. But here's what I want you to hear me say. It doesn't work. It doesn't work to overcompensate. It doesn't work for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is there is not an amount of doing that's going to inspire him to to start contributing his part energetically into your marriage. So that's one. Number two, when you step over the line of energetically contributing more than what is balanced between the two of you, then your stress response is activated because you no longer feel safe. You feel destabilized. And so that's energetically unsafe. That is physically unsafe because you're overcompensating. That's emotionally unsafe. And when we feel unsafe, then our stress response, our nervous system is activated in fight, flight, or freeze. And when we're chronically in that state, then we're going into burnout, we're going into anxiety, we're going into depression, we're going into autoimmune disorders. Like our body is not designed to be activated. Our nervous system is not designed to be activated on a consistent basis. So then in that activation, you start to show signs and symptoms that you're not okay. So then you're not able to really contribute to your own personal bucket that much. You're taking energy out of that bucket and trying to dump it into the marriage bucket to save this one. But you can't save something that alone. You can't save it in isolation. You need a partnership to be able to fill this bucket so that it feels really stable and whole and balanced. And yeah, stable is the best word for that, because when it's stable, what's stable is safe. So if you have a safe marriage, then both people are contributing. If it's really solid and stable, and both people are also taking care of their own personal needs. So when you're both contributing equally to this bucket, then you have energy and the resources within you to take care of yourself at the same time. So what you're describing to me is that the energy is all off, right? You're trying to contribute more than your share into the marriage. He is not liking that, not into that. It feels mothering to him, most likely. So he's pulling back even more. The more forward you lean, the further back he goes. And it's destabilizing the system as a whole. I would imagine he's also an activated stress response, but it probably is a flight response where he's running, and your stress response is more of a freeze, is more of a fight, is more of a lean in, move forward, get things done. This is kind of energetically what's happening, is it's way off and you're trying to compensate and stabilize the whole system. But a marriage system cannot be stabilized by one person. Both people have to stabilize it. So you're hearing me say this and you're like, okay, so now what? Like, how do I fix it? How do I stabilize it? And like I just said, you can't alone. But what you can do, and this is not easy, but it's the only way you're going to create a sense of stabilization long term. And the only way to do that is for you to pull back. And number one, like I said, feel the disappointment, feel the fear, feel the anger. If you're angry, feel the sadness, feel the feelings that you have about the imbalance that's happening in your marriage. Just let yourself feel it. And then I want you to begin really focusing on your personal bucket. It's probably quite depleted. It's probably the reserves, the energy levels are very, very low. And so when that happens, you are operating in a stress response most of the time. So a lot of women tell me, like, I can't focus on myself. I can't start taking care of myself. That's selfish. But my argument to you is it is selfish not to. All right. If you are driving down the highway and your gas tank light is on, you need to fill your tank with gas. And you say, I don't have time to stop for gas. I don't have time to stop for gas. Like, I don't know what you want me to say, car. I don't have time to stop for gas. And you got the kids in the back seat. You got the groceries in the back. You got to get home. You got to get started, dinner, homework, all the things. And you're like, I'm sorry. I just don't have time to stop for gas. Well, what's going to happen? You're going to run out of gas on the way home. So it can be perceived as a little bit of a selfish decision to not pull over and take the 10 minutes to get gas so that you can make it all the way home. Right now, you're dealing with screaming kids and groceries going bad in the back seat because you didn't take the time, the 10 minutes you needed to take to fill the car up with gas. Right? So this is the very same concept. You can't afford not to take care of yourself. It's going to continue to overwhelm your system. It's going to continue to deplete your resources. You're not going to be as available as you need to be as a mom. You're not going to be able to think resourcefully on your contribution to the marriage as a whole, to the stabilization of your marriage. Because when your bucket is not full, when your bucket is so depleted, you cannot be stabilized. Your system is not safe with itself. And so when your system is not safe with itself and when it's destabilized and it's activated, then you are, the word that's coming to mind is intention. And I don't, maybe because of the way I'm explaining it now, you could see that it is an intention. Like you're intentionally keeping yourself in anxiety, in depression, in overwhelm. You're intentionally activating your autoimmune issues, whatever is going on, because you're not filling your bucket and you're telling yourself it's selfish, when actually it's selfish to not take the time to do that. So again, this is, I don't want to go too far down that road because I understand that this is conditioning for most women. We're taught that taking care of ourselves is selfish, but it could not be further from the truth. And this is going to be a whole journey in and of itself, is understanding, what does taking care of myself mean? What is it I actually want? Most women I meet with, I have a 90-day journey I take women on, and we work through a lot of the conditioning that was developed over time. Most of the women that I start with have no idea who they are or what they want. They've only been conditioned and trained to understand who other people are and what they want and meet their needs. Right. So that's a hyper development. That's a great skill to have. We're not going to walk away from that, but understanding who you are and what you need. So let's get back to this. So number one, like I said, I want you to just feel the feeling, feel the disappointment, kind of let go and let things fall. And I know that feels really scary, and it feels like, what's going to happen? And I don't know, will my marriage fall apart? Like your brain goes to really scary places. I understand that, but it's not working. Like, you not doing this doesn't fix it either. This is actually your only hope of creating a really healthy, stable marriage, is you getting out of that overcompensation. So stepping back, letting yourself feel the disappointment. And then number two, start the process of taking care of yourself and loving on yourself and discovering what that means. Do you need to take a hot bath every night? Do you need to go on a walk? Do you need to drink a hot tea? Do you need to have go out with your girlfriends once a month or once a week? Do you need to go get a job if you haven't been working? Do you need to get a better job if you've been taking little part-time jobs, but you're feeling like you're not being your best self in that space? Like, what do you need? And if you have no idea, then join my 90-day program, or you can go to a therapist or start talking to your girlfriends or whatever you need to do to find what is you, to help you take care of yourself. It's going to do so many things for you. First of all, it's going to take the pressure out. If you are unintentionally or unconsciously putting pressure on your marriage to fulfill a sense of self for you that only actually your personal bucket can do, but you're trying to make the marriage bucket do, That's part of the energetic misalignment that's creating the destabilization. We're going to put everything back where it belongs, where you are feeling fulfilled within, in and of yourself. And he's feeling fulfilled in and of himself. And then together you create a really powerful, balanced life where you are contributing, where you're meeting each other's needs, but it's after your own needs are being met. All right. So this is kind of how those are the first two steps is feel your feelings, all of them, the disappointment. And that doesn't mean telling him you can. But if I don't know energetically where you guys, if maybe he's not available to hear what your feelings are right now, that doesn't mean your feelings are not valid. And that doesn't mean that you don't need to feel them. That just means he's not available right now. So you feel them for yourself and validate them for yourself. And you begin really taking care of your body, your emotions, your heart, your spirit, your soul, and nourish those things with things that really fill you and touch you through friendships, through therapy, through, like I said, if you need to work or whatever that looks like. That's a journey of self-discovery that's going to empower you and empower your marriage. All right. I don't want you right now to make any decisions about what to do with the marriage. There's no way for you to know what to do right now with your marriage. The first, you need to do these two steps and then see how things play out. It could be that when you pull yourself back and you start loving on yourself and taking care of your own needs and feeling your feelings, that the pressure of all this chasing is relieved and he comes up for air and can start leaning in and contributing again. That could be what happens. It could be that you start taking care of your needs, taking care of yourself, feeling your feelings, and he doesn't even notice, doesn't even care. That's information for you to have, and you're going to need some support to understand how to continue to move forward without overcompensating for what needs to be his contribution to your marriage. All right. So I can't tell you how this is going to play out. I can tell you that you doing these two steps is what will allow for things to begin to turn around, that will allow for you to then have clarity and take the next step with real purpose. Okay. So I hope that's helpful. Again, if you need support, then most people do. Most people need support in allowing themselves, most women do, and allowing themselves to pull back, to stop taking more responsibility for their relationship than that is theirs to take, and to start taking more responsibility for taking care of themselves and living on themselves and understanding what that means and what they need. So I have resources here in the description. You're welcome to click around to those. If you're working with a therapist, you could take this idea to your therapist or start meeting with your girlfriends. I know I am meeting with my girlfriends on Sunday. We're going to vision board the year of the horse together and talk and just kind of have our own little powwow session of like, okay, where am I at? What do I want? How am I going to get myself there? It's just a time for us to reflect and focus on ourselves, and doing that with a group of girlfriends is always really, I don't know, it's just more empowering, at least for me. And so you find what works for you. This is something I've been working on with myself for years and just piecing together more and more and more of what makes me feel like me. And the more I'm able to do that, the more stable I am, the less my stress response is activated. I'm a better mom. I'm a better partner. I'm better at work. I'm a better therapist. All of those things are improved when I am taking care of me and I am ensuring that my personal bucket is as full as possible most of the time. Life is hard. Shit comes up. Stuff goes down. I personally have had recently, within the last month, um, 2 significant deaths in my life, and then some peripheral as well. Like for whatever reason, there have just been many deaths around me recently. And so it's hard. And my bucket is not as full as it would normally be because I'm in grief and I'm in overwhelm and I'm in fear. And like, what does this mean? And why is this happening? And it's kind of turned my life upside down a little bit. So the temptation is then to like, I don't have time to take care of myself. I have to manage this. I have to figure out what's going to happen next. I have to But what I know is that if I go into that stress response state, then I'm not going to be able to think clearly about the decisions that I need to make. I'm going to be a stressed out, overwhelmed mom and not be able to be present for my son. I'm not going to be able to make the decisions that I need to make that are the most beneficial for myself, for my son, for my partner. So I have to double down on taking care of myself and loving on myself. And for me right now, it's lower energy. It's more alone time. It's more quiet time. It's just because it's hard. I'm in grief. It doesn't mean I'm out playing. And I mean, I do those things. I just don't have as much energy for them right now because I'm sad. So, my point in saying that is it's okay that if your life is messy and there are things that you are overwhelmed by or that you're sad about or that you're grieving, like that's life. But that doesn't give us permission to not focus on our needs and it actually means we need to double down on filling our bucket as much as possible so that we can create stability for ourselves. And when we feel stable, we feel safe. And when we feel safe, we're not in our stress response. And when we're not in our stress response, we can think clearly, we can take care of the people that we need to take care of. We are more creative, we're more energetic, and life in general feels doable versus feeling really overwhelming. Okay, I hope that that's helpful for you. I love doing these Dear Therapist episodes. If you have a submission, click the link below. There's a form there for you to fill out. I would love to answer this for you, and I will see you in the next episode.